you guys are up on the main roster, and you guys are just as over. You're riding that wave from NXT. And I do remember the lamb mask and just being when they would just kind of zoom in, and I'm like, what's going on with this guy? So very cool. Talk about your maybe the reception on the main roster from the fans on the Wyatt Family, because you guys were, if I remember right, you guys were it.
Yeah, it was a hot experience. It was the crowds were always, really into everything we were doing, whether it would be the tag team stuff or, with Wyndham sitting in the rocking chair, or whether it be us on the outside not knowing what would happen, would we get involved in Bray's match, or there was always a formula, like if Bray's going to face a guy at the next pay-per-view, obviously you have to go through me and Brody first, which he always did. But that was probably the only downside was we were the always the foil who always had to take the pin in the beginning, and then when we weren't there no more, poor Bray, he always had to take the pin too. So it was kind of just that weird booking thing that kind of, I think, slowed down everything the way that it was booked. I wish they would have went more into me and Brody's characters in the beginning, instead of just having us always be silent. Like, even when we're tagging, at least try to have us do some banter back and forth, or because we had pitched so many different things. Like, if we kidnapped, I would be the nice one and try to let him go, like in the old Texas Chainsaw. But then Brody would be like, the chopped up character who's like off edge and Hilchard, and he would, be screaming no. And that's why I always had him slap me, because we wanted to show some sort of like camaraderie behind brothers. But it just never got to tell that story the way we thought it should be told.
Man, I think about that too, as you're saying that, the look of Bray, your look, bro. I mean, it's just, there was so much there. You guys had the look. Like I said, it was. It's not many times when you can watch pro wrestling these days, and it's like, man, if I was a kid, I'd be a little scared. So it was kind of a cool run. You guys, and I'll go kind of fast here. You guys end up eventually teaming the Bludgeon Brothers. You get a run or two with the belts there. How was that? You're kind of away from Bray, and now you guys are a tag team, so you're getting a little bit more. And the fans loved you guys.
Winning the belts at Mania was obviously like long overdue for both of us. We thought we should have had a little run before, like a while ago. Like, we felt like it was a little bit too late, but like just being at Mania and being the victors it meant a lot. And but the way the Bludgeon ended was kind of like an odd thing. I mean, I got hurt. We ended up giving the belts up like a couple nights later, but the original plan was for us always to lose the belts at that SmackDown. So nothing changed. I got hurt and I worked through it and did the business we were supposed to do anyway. So it's like, torn bicep or not.
Torn bicep, okay.
Yeah. I tore the bicep at the SummerSlam that we retained against the New Day. And then 2 days later at SmackDown, we had a no disqualification match where you see me picking up everybody, and yeah, couldn't even. I don't think you could tell I tore anything. But yeah, so then I get hurt and I'm gone for like 5 months, and because it was SummerSlam, I came back out at Royal Rumble, so 5 or 6 months. I think I was ready at 5, and about 6 months they informed me that I'm going to be with Daniel. And that whole time I'm out, they don't use Luke once. Not for live events, not for house shows, not for TV. Like, he just disappeared. And, that's very frustrating, because I couldn't imagine if he was gone for me just to be, told I'm not going to be able to work. And we're different enough, and we have enough different qualities where they can find something for him. So that was frustrating for me, especially when I'm told when I come back, fully expecting the Bludgeon reunion. Because I'm like, they got to be holding on to him on this side for a reason. And then, no, you got a flannel shirt, and we want to cut your beard to match Daniels. And I'm like, what? And yeah, so I ended up texting Brody, and I said, hey, this is not my idea. Like, this is what they told me I'm doing. Like, this is okay. Like, yeah, but it was weird. And then Daniel ended up talking him back into coming after he had asked for his release. He was just sitting out anyway, and they weren't. If they would have booked him, he probably would have said yes, but they just weren't booking him either. But they weren't releasing him. And Daniel talked him back into coming, and we had a 1.5 month reunion of the Bludgeon Brothers without the stupid outfits.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, because that's odd, because prior to that, did he not have a they put the Intercontinental on him prior to that, right?
Yeah, the first time the Wyatts broke up, they put him. He had a run with Dolph. They gave him the belt, but it was like for like 2 seconds, and then they took it right off of him. And I think it was something to do with some Southern accent, like him not be able to do that Southern twang. And I don't know how you can't do a Southern accent, boy, but I give him crap. I don't understand the whole thing with that. He was told from good sources that it was true, and I believe it. But I refuse to believe that just because you can't do a Southern accent, you're not right for a different role in the company. That's mind-boggling to me.
When you're on your run with Daniel and he's got the eco-friendly belt,
yeah, the eco-friendly,
cool but whatever, the wooden, and that was short-lived as well.
Yeah, it was short-lived, and the whole thing was like, oh, Vince said he wanted me to get into the main event scene. That's what he told me. And he's like, this is a way to do it. This is a way not to be a background guy. And I was like, well, put me with Daniel, where Daniel's the one putting on all the promos. That puts me right in the background. That puts me in a bodyguard position, not an equal position. And my whole thoughts on that, came to a head for whatever character had happened when we broke up, because those were real frustrations I had. It was like, hey, you say you want me to be in this spot, but you're not giving me the opportunities to be in this spot. You put me back in the background. You try to protect me, but I think I didn't get pinned for a year and a half. But Daniel's the one who had to tell him, hey, why do you want to pin him for this tag match if he hasn't been pinned for a year? Why don't you put that over and try to make that a bigger deal? So he went to bat for me a lot about that. But whenever something was written for me to talk, it would be like a one-liner. And I was way past trying to be a one-line guy. I wanted to be somebody that could speak and be articulate, but be scary. And I think he just thought I was this guy who couldn't speak. It was really weird. And so I don't know what the problem with that was. And then when it came time to be Daniel's attacker, I don't know. I think Daniel and Roman had pitched that it was me just because they didn't want it just to be another match between them two. They wanted to hold that one off. So kudos to both those guys for trying to put me in that position. And luckily I was able to get some promos out of it, which turned into more speaking roles and stuff like that. But I feel like I started to catch steam with Brody, but then when Brody came back, he was in the same position as me, where it's they weren't giving him time to talk. So now I'm the vocal point, and I'm hindering what he's doing. And to me, it's frustrating, because I think in an interview with Michael Cole, this is after me and Brody reunited, and he's like, well, why is Luke back? And this wasn't written in the script. And I was like, if you want to ask Luke what's going on, why don't you go ask him? This is the first time in 6 years you're asking me a damn question. I'm pissed off. This is just what's written in the thing. This is what I'm saying to him. I don't know how much of it got put onto the show, because they had me do 2 or 3 different takes of this because they said it went too long, because I legit was pissed off in that interview, and I wanted to beat the shit out of Michael because I thought he was saying the stuff. And I was really mad because I was like, go ask him. Don't, like, you want to interview me, you interview me. But if you want to ask Luke a question, you go ask him, like, face to face. Like, why the hell am I even here? Do you want to make this about him, or are you going to make this about me? And that stuff really pissed me off. And that's an easy character to play because it hits so close to home. And I thought I was killing it. I thought I was doing great. And then the draft happened. They put me and Brody in different shows. They had me come out like 2 or 3 weeks later against their champion, who was Seth at the time, in a Falls Count Anywhere match. They said, "Oh, we want to protect you, so we're going to do some forklift gimmick." I'm like, okay, whatever. At least it's a thing that hasn't been done in a while, and it'll keep me strong. And then we do a tour of the United Kingdom. I think I'm working. I think it was Roman every night or something like that, or maybe it was Seth. I don't remember. And we were doing like fun matches, whatever, street fights every night. And I'm in the UK, and they're like, okay, well, here's your new thing. You got a cage, and you're not going to talk. And now you're going to go back to squashing kids. So basically, all the work I did to form a character, just out the window. Like, anything I was trying to do to become a star, and you can't do anything about it. You play a role. I can be pissed off about it, yes. But when I came to work, yes, sir. What do you want me to do, sir? Because that's the way I'm raised. You try to make something work the best you can. And I pitched some really fun, cool ideas with the cage, and they fell on deaf ears. And now I'm in a position where when the cage was destroyed, technically, so was my career with that company and my relationship with that company, because, it's not fun to be told, hey, this is COVID things happens, and, we just don't want to use you anymore, which, to me, it didn't make sense because they were using me every week. Why give me so much TV and so much exposure and have a guy that's not going to complain about any kind of storyline you're going to give him? Should I have complained more? Because I pitched stuff to make it work. So that's the bitterness of the business. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good. Sorry, we got
Okay.
nothing.
But me probably just having that bitterness, the company can always say it's just a disgruntled employee. And, to each his own. I can be disgruntled, but if I was so disgruntled, I would have never have left. Like, I would have been a lifer. And that's the sad thing, is when you give, no matter how much you give to any company you're in, at the end of the day, it's not your company, and they can do whatever they want with you. So on that note, like I say, a lot of stuff is happening just to fall into your lap, and other opportunities happen outside of whatever you think you're going for, which is what happens a lot with me. So I had recently just finished filming a movie. So I had spent about 5 or 6 weeks out in Arkansas filming that. It's a way different side of me you've ever seen. It's not a typical big guy character. It's somebody with a lot of depth, and I'm very excited and proud of the work I did with that, which is, you can't really say that a lot with anything, within the entertainment business, but it definitely opened my eyes to other opportunities outside of wrestling. And you never know what happens or how things fall into place. So it's just stuff like that, that kind of open your eyes and give you light to keep moving and keep fighting. And because there's always somebody, you have your dream job, but then is it your dream job today? What's your dream job tomorrow? And, I'm happy for every opportunity I've had with that company, and I'm happy for every opportunity that I've had, since I left and I have coming up.
Does that movie have a title that we can know, or are you not sure yet?
Oh yeah, it's Ghosts of the Ozarks.
All right, we'll have to.
You can look it up on what was that, Internet Movie Database?
Yeah.
Tim Blake Nelson's attached to it. He's the Watchmen television show. He's a very good actor. He's in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? A lot of Coen Brothers stuff. So I'm very excited about that movie.
The number one thing everybody asked me when I said I'd get a chance to speak with you was talking about that spider in the cage thing. So thanks for touching on that. That was that one of the ideas that's just thrown at you that was going to be a spider? Because I remember
originally
what's happening here.
Originally, when it was first pitched to me, because I had my reservations, it was supposed to be a pet rat that was going to be killed by said babyface and send me on a rampage. When said babyface turned heel, that feud was scrapped, as was any idea of what the hell was going to be in the cage. It was always said it was going to be some sort of animal, but the longer it went on, the more people wanted to know what was in that stupid thing. And I tried to pitch the world's smallest woman, the actress from American Horror Story Freak Show, Ma Petite. I pitched that it was her. I said we could build a bigger cage for a day, unveil it. She's a SAG actress, so it means they would pay her an actor's wages for one day of work, where we could film some backstage stuff for 1 or 2 episodes. She's a human being, but it's not a wrestler, which means you're free reign to actually kill the character and show my emotions as to that character dying and what would happen to me, even if it wasn't an accident from somebody else. There could have been so many different ways we could have gone with it. But that was one of the ways I pitched, where the fans would actually have a shock and awe in front, But, it was one of those things where a mechanical spider they thought was a better idea.
Now, do you have, when you're up on that main roster, and this might be one of those questions you don't even want to answer, but are you able to communicate with Vince regularly, or is it just kind of when you go through what you did and it's not worth it sometimes?
No, you're able to communicate with them. The whole thing is, so some days he's just not available, or he's not at television. There'd be like 2 or 3 weeks where he wouldn't be there, but Heyman would be, and Heyman would be the creative control. Well, creative control is who you pitch your ideas to, who say they're going to talk to Vince directly. So I have text messages where I would send him whole pitches, because it was even after the spider was shown on television. The next day, I'm sending a pitch about how the spider was not what it really is, but it's me being like a psychotic stalker type character, not being a stalker, but somebody that preys on somebody's worst fears, where like I would do my research, and I don't know what your worst fear is, but I would figure it out, and I would place it in the cage and use it against you to win matches. I thought that could have been a fun little take on it, and explain why somebody was bleeding, or why maybe my worst fear is blood. Maybe so whenever I put my hand in the cage, I cut myself because I'm afraid of whatever's in there. It's so many different ways I could have went with it. And even after they killed off the spider, and like Vince said, no, it's a spider and we're killing it today. Even after that, I sent a pitch to a writer that next day, but unfortunately that was my last day on the job, because that was the last time we had a live crowd. It was the last time I was in the ring. Yeah, but I pitched something about going on a rampage after the death of the spider even. And as silly as that is, and to the point where I was going to get fired unless I stop kicking the shit out of people backstage unprovoked. So what does somebody who's unprovoked, how would they be able to still kick the shit out of people without getting fired? You kick the shit out of the person with a referee who happens to have the 24/7 title. I'm just saying. I pitched that one. That was probably my favorite pitch when I left, because it was like, there's nothing else that can go wrong. But I was told after I pitched that they had big plans for the guy that had the 24/7 title at the time, and I don't think I've seen him on TV since.
Again, I keep saying I'm going to be respectful of your time. There's so many things I want to ask about cinematic matches and everything, but I'm going to jump to it. You might not be able to answer this question, but what is the future looking like as far as wrestling? You might not be able to say, but I got to ask. Do you have things in place? Anything you can talk about?
Well, to me, wrestling's not wrestling without being in front of people. You need to be in front of people. Like, I get it's a television product now, but like the vast majority of what we did was, and the stuff I'm most proud of in wrestling, was in front of fans and not in front of a studio, in front of the light. It was in front of a full arena of people. I'd be very sad to see if the future of wrestling is just empty arenas, with LCD screens of people doing hi. It's very impersonal. Wrestling is a very in-your-face business. There's nothing like going to a show and being in the front row, talking crap to your favorite wrestlers, or giving a high five to a wrestler as they walk by, one of your favorites. So cinematic matches are fun to watch, some of them, but WWE is not known for being a movie company, and most wrestlers are not known for being the best actors. They're known for being great wrestlers. They're known for putting on good on-the-fly promos. That's improv. Wrestling is like stage art. It's theater. How would theater look in front of nobody? Yeah, I couldn't imagine just sitting at home and watching a play. It's just not the same. It just seems flat, no matter how good the wrestler is. Like Orton and Randy, I thought was a great match, but it would have been so much better with the crowd.
100%. That's what I've said since this started. I kind of went I'd forgive them because at least we had entertainment, sports entertainment, wrestling. It didn't shut down like baseball had and NBA. But when we got to the eye for an eye and some of this other stuff, I'm the same way. The crowd, if it's proven anything, the crowd is just, and I've known it, you've known it, the crowd is an integral part of professional wrestling. And even though wrestling travel, part of my job is to kind of keep up to date, it's been tough to watch. I can't even tell you. I've been on podcasts where they're like, what did you think of last night's? I didn't watch it. It's hard to watch,
I remember I watched the first episode with no crowd, and I don't know if it was the way they filmed it or what, but it showed off every flaw in wrestling.
100%. Yep. And there was somebody had a satellite feed of the commercial break and the girls getting back into position. And I'm an old school purist kind of guy, even though I'm living in 2020 where everything's on the internet. Everybody thinks they know everything just by sitting behind a keyboard. And I was like, son of a bitch, I hate to have that stuff out there, just because it just pissed me off to no end. So everything's kind of on hold as far as we know right now for you. We're going to kind of wait. There's probably nothing you can, and I know There's probably internet rumors about there. Let me ask you this before I get to my final question. Because I'm a struggling YouTube guy and just started the channel, we got 1,000 subscribers. You got a cool story that you could tell me that people will be like, man, I got to hear that story that Erick told, wrestling travel. I know that's putting you on the spot, but I have
all right,
to.
I'll tell you this story because it involves Mr. Connor.
Okay, awesome.
All right, this one's about Connor from the Ascension, my buddy Ryan. Okay, so we're traveling between shows, and I mean, if you ever talk to him again, you can ask him about this one. So we're traveling up and down, you know, from house show to house show. I think we left the hotel early. We're gonna drive another hour and a half. He's a little sick. Maybe it's after a show, but he's a little sick. And we're driving like an hour or two. It's like after like a 5 o'clock show. I think that's why the sun was still up. So he's a little sick. He's coughing, hawking a loogie out the window. I'm driving. And I'm like, man, are you okay? And he's just he's getting that hawking loogie. He's fucking spitting out the window. All right, this guy's not feeling too good. Let's get you to that hotel, you know? Like, driving with all my music, rocking out. All of a sudden, he spits out his window. I don't know how the hell it happened. Right on my chest. The biggest damn loogie you ever see. My only reaction was just to scream and look at him. And this bastard just smiles and laughs uncontrollably for what felt like 2 or 3 minutes before I finally say, can you get this shit off of me? So there's a little funny story for you.
Awesome. I want to thank you for your time, but I always ask, my final question is my most important question. How can the fans, what social media, I'm not sure how much you use social media, but how can we keep track of what you're doing? Where can we get merchandise? How can we support you at this time?
At this time, you can check out Twitter at Erick Redbeard, one word, or at Instagram at Erick Redbeard. I do have 3 T-shirts for sale on Pro Wrestling Tees under the store Erick Redbeard, ERICK Red Beard, one word. Otherwise, I'm on Cameo under Joe Root or Erick Rowan. It's very interesting to be able to talk to people in a totally informal way. But I guess that's what I'm doing right now if you're not right here. I'm talking to the fans right now in a very informal way through a different media. But Cameo is just a way to get a personalized message from me to you. It's kind of a cool concept. I try not to charge as much as some of these other guys do. But, you know, got to take time out of my day and my family to do it. But, you know, it's a fun way to keep in contact with people, as I don't really respond to DMs or anything too, and they have like a way to like pay for DMs to people. So, I mean, if you want to pay to talk to me, I guess I'll DM you right back. But yeah, right now, if you want to support me, those are the ways. But if you want to support wrestling, just keep watching it, whichever one you like. Pay money, pay for merch, like, because, you know, but everybody's hurting right now. I get that. So take care of your family first, and then splurge on the wrestling merch.
Fantastic. Erick Redbeard, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see what the future holds. Ghost of the Ozarks, we'll be looking for that, and we'll be looking for you down the road. So we appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.